We need to make a new open for our show. We're way overdue for that.
I have the template. We just need
Yeah.
footage to put in it. I
When I see
do.
you next in
I know.
10 days, we'll have to do like a filming day and just go out and film B-roll.
We will. You will have to shoot a bunch of B-roll. Oh God.
Hey,
Bring
what?
a change of clothes.
Hey, Richie, what are you doing today? Oh, we're just out shooting B-roll for the podcast.
Literally. Like when we shot an insane amount of B-roll for our karting video.
Mm-hmm. The ducks. The duck. We made a duck
The
friend that day.
goose. Yeah, that goose in the front.
All right, everybody. I'm keeping that in the podcast, so that's great. Welcome to Pride Month, everybody. If you see a straight person, tell them Happy Pride. Welcome to 1 Hour, 1 Brain Cell. Welcome to 1 Hour, 1 Brain Cell, everybody.
Forgot about
I
that
am
thing.
I am joined by my co-host Jordan, who is covered in hot glue at the moment.
So fair. So valid. Didn't use any glue. I am covered in hot plastic, and I will not be elaborating on that. And I'm joined by my co-host Richie, who, on behalf of his own algorithm and our Uber driver in Chicago, I'd like to wish a happy Pride.
Happy Pride, everybody. Thank you very much. Yes. I will accept this nomination.
I'd like to thank my mom. I'd like to thank Renee Rapp. Yeah.
Anyway, welcome to the show, everybody. Episode number 70. Lots to talk about this week, including how our Thursdays are now barren and empty and leave
Yeah.
us feeling nothing. It's like a black void now.
It really is. Like Thursdays used to be fun, and now Thursdays are just like devoid of emotion. Until we find something else to fill up our
Yeah.
Thursdays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we got plenty to get to. We have Hacks finale to get to. We have Taylor Clowns the Clowns. We have the cat track and Jordan and Max's crash out. We'll get to that in a little bit. And at the very end of the show, what do we think we could get 137 people to show up for? Which I don't know what that is or what that means. So we'll get to that a little bit later in the show. Let's dive right in, shall we, to the Hacks season 4 finale. Now, if you go back to last week's show, what do you remember what it is I said about what I thought this episode 10 finale would be? Do you remember? Do you listen to what I
I
say on the show or not?
This is like testing my ability to be an empathetic, active listener. I think you said it was gonna be more low stakes. Like episode 9 was like this is the big catalyst, and then
Mm-hmm.
episode 10 was gonna be more of a transition into what
Yes.
season 5 was gonna be, and
Yes.
you nailed
Yes.
it.
Yes. I
Thank
did nail
you.
it.
I passed.
You did. Well done.
I passed. Yay.
Well done. I don't know. I don't know if you reciprocated that same question to me. I don't know if that's to be true because I can't even remember what the hell I had for lunch yesterday, nonetheless what I said or what you said on the podcast previous to this. So well
That's so
done.
fair.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the Academy, and I'd like to thank my mom and my dad.
And Renee Rapp.
And Renee Rapp. Yep. Sorry, couldn't forget Renee.
Who is your new best friend and has been for over a year now.
Did we ever put that graphic out on
We
the
did.
socials? Because
I'm pretty sure we did.
So it was like we definitely need to do that if we haven't done that already, but I think we did. It
We did.
was a
That was
long
going-
time ago. That was episode 3.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh no. Yeah.
That was too long ago. But anyway, yes, you're right. That's what I said about last week. I was like, in the after Game of Thrones, was very famous for doing that, which is episode 9 would be their kind of season finale and their big battle, and then episode 10 would kind of be the pilot for the next season. And so that's basically what this season finale of Hacks was. It was kind of a pilot for what's going to happen next season in a way, um, because there was a lot that happened. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't, you know, like basically it was like a means to an end type episode. And don't get me wrong, I think both of us really liked this episode and found it to be and thought it was great, but that's like the last 5 minutes of the episode were kind of like all we really needed from the episode to set up next season. So um anyway, let's dive in here. So we had Ava's famous Branzino crash out earlier this season, and we flipped on its head in this episode, and it was Deborah that had a crash out this week.
It was such a sad crash out. Like it was a side of her that we've never really seen before, which is and I think the writers in their little like post episode thing kind of talked about it where it was like she's really sort of lost connection with herself and who she is and her voice because she's had this thing taken away from her. They're like, you actually can't perform anymore for like 18 months. Um, and that's pretty much all she's ever known, or for the longest part of her life, that's what she's known. So she doesn't know what to do with herself. She's at home, like watching TV, falling asleep with one shoe on. Josefina has to check if she's still alive at some point. She's drinking Coke from the bottle. This is a woman who only drinks fountain Coca-Cola, and she's drinking Coke from a bottle with a shooter that she bought at some, $1.99 convenience store in downtown Vegas. And when faced with the opportunity to choose a rhinestoned cap to befit her current state of mind, the options were great. It was like diva, queen. I kind of want to get one of those for you. And she simply chooses to put on girl, and you're like, oh no, oh, she's down bad. She's down bad. So they propose a vacation to fix this, which is a great idea, honestly.
Yes. And but they because they found a loophole in at least we later come to find out they find a loophole in the contract that Deborah can still perform if it's being performed through a translator.
Yeah, if it's somebody else doing the material, it's like, okay, loophole. That she was always gonna find a loophole. She's famously so litigious that I was like, she'll find it. She'll find a way out of it. My theory actually was like, and we didn't get to it last week on the episode, but I thought that there might be sort of a path there where they might have Ava start performing the material, which would kind of be a fun like full circle thing. But they didn't end up going that route, at least not yet. But yeah, it was definitely an interesting clause that they came up with there.
And then we get a couple of things. We get Deborah going to see Marcus at his factory for solar panels, I believe.
Yeah, it's like solar energy or something.
Yeah.
It's so strange. Strange side hustle.
And yeah, and then they kind of have a talk a little bit, and I think Deborah basically essentially tries to convince him to come work for her again and try to get back the Deborah Vance line of everything. And she tells Marcus, I don't even own my own name anymore, which is true because she sold it all off to QVC, so she doesn't even own that side of her business anymore. So we get that scene. Then we get Ava showing up to Deborah's house looking like Ace Ventura because they think they're going to Hawaii.
I'm pretty sure everybody thought they were going to Hawaii, probably including Deborah, including the pilot. And then Ava goes on this tangent, this absolutely fueled tangent. And I'm pretty sure that was the point in time at which Deborah got pushed over the edge. Because she's like, I cannot be stuck for like, I don't know, however long they were planning on going. But she's like, I can't be stuck with this kid. Just like on whatever this relaxing is. She's like, I'll go crazy. So we have to pivot. We have to change something.
We got Ava trying to figure out how much Xanax to take on the plane.
Yeah, and her worst enemy is a glass of water. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but like she spills about most of it, I think. It's like they hand her this glass of water and like
Yeah.
a majority of it just runs down her face. You're like, nicely done. Nicely done, girl.
Um, turns out when they land, Ava does not receive her lei, and they are in Singapore, the
The
one in
one in
Asia.
Asia? Yeah. It's a great line. It's like, yeah, what other Singapore do you know of? Crazy, by the way, that I texted you. I was like, do you think they shot this on location? Because it was too there was too much stuff there to not be shot on location. It was like in the airport with the waterfall and the gardens or something. I don't know if that's a real thing. I could ask people. I know people I could ask about this, but I did not fact check it. But I'm like, they had to have, right? Like it looks too good to be a green screen. And I'm gullible. I'm gullible. We all know it here on this show, but I'm not that gullible. I can look at one of those dinosaur movies that they make four of a year now and be like, that's a green screen. But I was looking at this, I'm like, that's probably real. You were like, there's no way. There's no way that was in the budget.
On HBO's budget, yeah, and they made it work. And it was the first thing they did in their little behind the scenes. I was like, oh crap, they actually did go there. That's cool.
Which is also crazy because the way that I don't know, it baffles me that they shoot things out of sequence for TV shows or movies or whatever because they are so good at putting this emotional weight into scenes where they've shot them in a nonlinear fashion. It's like Deborah or Jean Smart was not even aware probably of, the arc fully that her character was going to take at this point in the season when she shot that whole downward spiral in Las Vegas thing. But they're so good just given a little bit of direction and a little bit of character motivation that they sell it. Even
Mm-hmm.
though you're like, yeah, this is not the first thing we shot this season. It's not the last thing we shot this season, but we've stitched it together in a way that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I didn't realize how long that they were there, and they were apparently there for like almost a year. They had just disappeared off to Singapore, and they have this big montage of both of them doing karaoke and both of them having a lot of fun. Then after a while that starts to turn into like Ava being, you can tell Ava's like, what are we doing here, while Deborah's still like living her best life, having a blasty blast, falling asleep on stage during one of her sets. Which of course leads Ava to eventually um, being ready to leave and go back to the United States after a while because they have this entire conversation about how Deborah's up there in age, she's at the end of her career. Ava's only 20. She's like, you're 29. It was that conversation they have on the boat, and it was great. And it was like, yeah, you're 29. You have this entire life ahead of you. Like, what are you doing here? Type of moment, type of thing. You know what I mean? Like, and it's true. And then I think Ava takes it to heart and is like, all right, you're right, and then wants to get the heck out of Dodge.
I do think it shows more of a growth there, though. Like, as much as Ava was growing through this season, in this episode, we see Deborah regressing. And, she starts doing all her old material and she starts falling back on all her old things. And it's like, I think a previous version of Ava, when confronted with that argument, probably would have been a little bit more confrontational about it and like taken it more personally and
Mm-hmm.
like, why are you picking on me, like this isn't fair. But she's like, look,
Yeah,
I know
and
you and I know you're angry and I know you're upset, and it's not coming from you, like your heart, it's coming from your head right now, and you're mad, but this isn't right. Let's just settle down and we can deal with it later.
yeah, and that's they had a very similar conversation in the Woods episode in season 3 too, right? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's that kind of similar idea. So I wonder if that's kind of going to be like the main theme of season 5, and it's Ava, and I hope that's the case for season 5, and we know it's going to happen. We don't know if it's going to be the final season or not. Writers are very kind of like open to whether or not an episode count,
Mm-hmm.
and I hope we get like as much as a lot of Hacks has been Deborah's story, and then kind of Ava has her own story as well. But Deborah's kind of always been the central and main character because the entire show is taking place through her career, and we're following
Mm-hmm.
her career, and Ava is along for the ride in a lot of ways. And so I wonder if in season 5 we get that flipped, and we start following Ava's career eventually. I think that would be a great way to end the show for me.
Mm-hmm.
Is Deborah starts to understand that, listen, I'm up there in age. I have a grandkid now. You have, Ava's done so much for me over the past, however many years, 4 years, whatever. It's time to kind of give back in a way, which I hope to be the case, because that would show a lot of growth for Deborah, and it would show a lot of growth for Ava at the same time, which is the show has been really, I think, so good at is, all of the characters have really kind of gone on their own arcs and have grown since we first met them in season 1. So
Definitely. And I like that, I think you mentioned it, but like they initially had in mind a 5 season arc, but they've now said, like, hey, we know exactly how we want this to end, and we're not committed to trying to condense it and make it happen in 10 episodes or whatever, like, if that's the case.
mm-hmm.
We want to tell the story at the tempo that we want to tell it. And I would also be happy, I think, in an eventual season 5 to see them at some point go back to that dynamic of like, we're ready to attack this thing together, because I think that's been moments in which they're both at their best throughout the show.
Yeah.
Has been when it's been that united front towards achieving something.
Mm-hmm.
And there's definitely space now to do that.
Right. Right. Then the season ends on the. Now this was both you and I were like thought we were tripping there for a second, because we get the scene where Ava like wakes up ready to leave. Essentially, she's supposed to take off and go back home at the very tail end of this episode. And she wakes up. She gets a call from Jimmy like the TMZ is reporting that Deborah's dead, and we're like, wait, this can't be real? Like we thought it was all one of her like scary nightmare dreams that she references like earlier in the
Yeah,
show.
there was like 5 minutes left in the episode. They're like, they wouldn't drop this on us right now, would they? Like, it's not right. There's not enough time. I like remember clicking onto the on my remote to like see how much time was left. I was like, there's not enough time if they're going to do this. I was really stressing for a minute. 'Cause she's got like 14 missed calls from Kayla, from Marcus. I'm like, oh, something's gone down.
Mm-hmm.
I thought maybe she got like kidnapped off that boat that Ava left her on or something. I was like, oh no, Deborah.
So yeah, Ava runs to Deborah's hotel room, and Deborah's still alive. It was not a dream. It was just a false report, of which we're reading fan theories about what exactly happened here, which is that it could have been Deborah leaking her own death.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah,
That's
I thought
interesting.
thought I sent it to you. Maybe I didn't. Yeah, but it was essentially the one theory is that Deborah leaked her own death, so that way, her and Ava don't have to like leave each other essentially, because she knows that like this happens, then they got to go back.
I could see her doing it as a contract loophole where it's like if she's presumed dead, they can't like execute any legal action toward her. I could see her doing it to like revitalize her own career, but I think that we're at the point now where I don't know, it doesn't strike me as her being like that possessive over Ava that
Yeah.
she would be like, "Nah, Marcus, tell the press I'm dead." Like, no. It could just be TMZ being stupid, which is also a really funny arc and angle
Mm-hmm.
because like they deserve to get hated on. TMZ deserves to get hated on.
Yes, they do. Yeah, so the episode leaves on not as much of a cliffhanger as we've had in previous seasons, which is, they're going to go, and Deborah's pissed off at what TMZ did, and so they're going to go, and they're going to prove them wrong, because the obituary was, Deborah did not like. It was, killing late night. This is what she's known for, and it was kind of leading into this theme of you were kind of hinting a second ago, like the legacy. Like, what is the legacy of Deborah going to be? What is the legacy of Ava going to be? And that seemingly is going to be the theme of season 5.
I'm excited. I trust the writers. They've not done us wrong yet.
Mm-hmm. They have not. They have not. Speaking of the writers, I think I mentioned to you that you should go watch Paul Downs' like Netflix special that he did
Hmm.
several years ago. Did you get a chance to do that yet?
No, but I need to. It's on my list for sure.
He he put it out in like 2016, I think, and Netflix did like this mini series, I guess, and they were like, and they featuring several comedians and writers, and they were like, okay, we're gonna give you 30 minutes. You can do whatever you want. So you can do stand up, you can do sketch, you can do whatever, right? So Paul Downs was a part of that. Tim Robinson was a part of it. Um, a couple others were a part of that as well, and and so yeah, Paul Downs' one is just it's so silly. It's it's like he does like a bunch of different sketches, and it's so stupid. It's so funny.
That's good.
I
I
feel
need
like
to
it's
get on that.
yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like it's right up both of our alleys. It's obviously way different from Hacks, obviously, but like
Hmm.
it's very like avant-garde and weird and funny, and it's I like that kind of humor. So
Yeah. I like that stuff. I was catching up this week on Everybody's Live with John Mulaney, which is crazy. That show is
oh
crazy.
yeah, yeah, we
We didn't
didn't.
talk about
I
the
think we
fight.
mentioned. Yeah, we mentioned that I think on last week's show, and we didn't update the people on it. So you watched it. I just saw clips because I don't have Netflix.
Yeah.
So please update us. Who won, John Mulaney or a bunch of teenagers?
I'm trying to remember if we talked about it on the air or not, or if this was in our post-air chatting. But at some point, like after we had just finished recording last week's episode, if we didn't talk about it, I got like a notification or something, and it was like John Mulaney versus teens. And I remember that I had seen a TikTok that was it was some girl that was like my little brother is like I'm trying to get him on this because he would love that. And I guess like throughout this whole season, because it recently came up the debate I think of like 100 men versus one gorilla who would win. Like you've
Mm-hmm.
seen this, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I've there have been debates about this at my workplace, and I hate it because I think the gorilla would win every time. But it like I think it spiraled into something that was like if you had John Mulaney fight a couple of teenagers, like who would win? And they got some like 13 or 14-year-old boys, and they actually did it, which I feel like is crazy from like a legal standpoint. It's like you would allow a grown man to fight a bunch of minors on live, not like cable television, but like network television.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't like fists. Like nobody was punching. It
Yeah.
was it was not that. It was more like wrestling, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And it was John Mulaney against three teenagers, and the teenagers won, kind of unsurprisingly, but he lasted longer than I thought he would. And it was very funny because like Adam Sandler was there because he was like a guest for that episode, so you can just hear him in the back. He's like, "Keep moving, Johnny," and like just trying to get him on this, but it was funny. It was funny. I'm so surprised that it happened. I think is the
Mm-hmm.
biggest takeaway from that. But he's
I didn't think it was
always
either. I
been
thought it was
funny.
just gonna be like I thought it was just gonna be like a marketing stunt, but they I
Yeah, yeah. They were like, tune in for the finale. John's fighting a bunch of teenagers. We're like,
mm-hmm.
that's not happening. And then it did.
Yeah.
They like had a ring, and he made all the teenagers wear suits, so they would be in standardized clothing. Nobody has a clothing advantage. You're like, okay, put the teenagers in suits. But realistically, if you have like a reasonably grown 14-year-old boy, like that was the strategy they ended up using, is just like one of them has to grab him and hold him, and the other ones have to get his legs.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how you take down the grown man, because he can just keep moving. He's more agile than they are. But
Yeah.
if you grab him and restrain him, then it's game over. So it was.
Incredible. Speaking of reinventing late night television, there we go.
There you
John
go.
Mulaney. I actually read something about that because I was reading a review in preparation um, for the podcast talking about hacks, and I went and I read some reviews of the last episode, and one of them was like pretty negative, and they were like, "Oh well, we've seen this before. This isn't as good as the show used to be," and I was like, "Get over it. Whatever. Be
Yeah.
negative. be negative Nancy if you want.
No,
And then
go
I
be
think
negative somewhere else. You know what? Take that out of here.
yeah, and then the other one like was mentioning actually brought up John Mulaney as a real life example of somebody who's like reinventing late night television. And they're like, yeah, hope he gets to do more of that. So I wish I had Netflix because I would watch his show every week and I would love it because you and I are both big John Mulaney fans. We find him to be really hilarious. So
Yeah, I've been listening to that guy for a long time. Like, probably when I was in high school, I think I found that Salt and Pepper Diner skit.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I just thought that was about the funniest thing I had ever heard. That was like my introduction to like a comedy, right? And now you and I have so expanded and we love comics and stand up and clips of all that and like Taylor Tomlinson, I'm watching all of Taylor Tomlinson's specials and we have a broader appreciation for it, but I just remember like with my stupid like wired headphones, like when you finished a test in high school and they like would let you just do whatever you wanted while other people were still taking a test, I would like put my headphones in and like go to Spotify and find that John Mulaney album or
yeah.
whatever and just be listening to
Time
it.
out, time out.
Yeah.
You were allowed to do that?
Well, I mean, once you would like hand it in your paper, because
Yeah.
like this was also some years ago, my friend, and this was the era of cell phones where if you hit the internet button, you had to hit end a bunch of times to avoid getting charged 99 cents for it.
Oh, yeah.
So let's be real. We didn't have supercomputers in our pockets. Like when the iPod
Yeah.
Touch came out, that was like revolutionary. But I had like
You had music. You had like yeah. You had to
yeah,
listen to
we
music.
we had music, but it was like on an iPod, and you had to have
Yeah.
like pre-downloaded it. There was like no streaming. That wasn't
Yeah.
really a thing yet. It was
Yeah.
the whole deal. But
Okay. Because I did
yeah.
definitely. Well, maybe some people did it, but I didn't have that. I had like a rip off like MP3 player, but
Oh
I
sure.
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, we weren't allowed that stuff in school, man. That's was more my point. I was like, how in the world were you able to get away with that without the teacher getting like coming over and yanking those things out of your
No, no,
ears?
no.
And
You
like,
had to
you
like
can't have
you had to
this.
like turn in your piece of paper, and then like
Yeah.
once you got back to your seat, and you because you can't edit it at that point, you just handed in your hard copy piece of paper. You're like, okay, now do whatever you want while you wait for people to finish the test. But it was also like I was in the era where we had Chromebooks for like maybe 2 years, and it was like my last 2 years of high school. But now kids have like laptops in school, they have like iPads in school.
That's
Like
so
that's
crazy.
crazy to me because I remember getting my notes checked to make
Hmm.
sure that like you were taking them. Like in high school, you were like open the binder with the lined paper, take notes, and sometimes they would check to make sure you were actually taking notes and you weren't just like scribbling or something. Yeah, different. That was different times.
Different times indeed. Real quick before we move on to something
Yeah.
else, we should go to Singapore next year. Why not? Let's go to the Singapore Grand Prix.
Okay.
That's Circuit Sick.
Sure.
Night
What
race?
year or not? What year? What what date is that on the calendar?
Good question.
2026. You can already buy tickets, it seems like, or you can at least join the wait list. Well, let's find out, because in 2025, it's October 3rd through 5th.
Yeah.
So it's probably early October, unless they
Yeah,
change the
it was in
calendar around a lot.
September of 2024. September 20 yeah, September yeah, hang on. Yeah, September of 2024.
So it'll be like
Uh
the end of September or start of October.
yeah, yeah.
Possible. Possible.
I'm gonna kidnap you, take you on a plane, go, hey Jordan, want to come to Hawaii with me? And be like,
Yeah.
sure, let's go to Hawaii. And then
Really cool.
you're gonna wake up. And I'm like, all right, cool, we're off the plane, and you're gonna be like, where's my lay? I thought we got lays. And we're like,
No, that
and
would
I'm
be
like,
honestly, it would be so much more ethical to go to Singapore because Hawaii hates, well, they don't hate it, but like American tourism is not that great for Hawaii.
oh,
Yeah.
didn't know that.
That I feel like that's a thing that Ava Daniels would have known as well, and she
Yes.
would have had some like
Yeah.
ethical
Yeah.
obligations to fulfill about that. She would have had to take like a sustainably sourced coral reef class or something to like make up for it. Have you seen
Uh,
about that the new Lilo and Stitch movie? Sorry, now that we're on Hawaii.
I don't know. I'm too old for Lilo and Stitch. Yeah,
But
that
like
was.
you saw the original at some point, right?
I don't know if I've ever even seen the movie.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a good classic Disney movie. Um, but they did a live action remake of it, and I think you know my stance on this, and I wish they would just stop doing live action remakes of things. I'm not seeing them. I don't care. I don't need you to make Stitch look more lifelike. I'm okay. Like,
Right.
and if you're a parent and you're just shoveling this new garbage down your children's throats, like, okay, whatever. Just make them watch the original. But off track. Um they the original movie was like it was cute cuz they found Stitch is essentially like almost the equivalent of a feral cat, but he's like an alien experiment that's a feral cat, and they find him. He like crash lands from space or something. He
This
escapes. I
was
think he
not in our
escapes.
lineup, by the way. So
No,
this is great.
it was not. I promise I'll keep it short. But he's like like an alien prisoner escapee, and he lands, and they live in Hawaii, and he lands, and this little girl is like, wishing on a star or something. She's like, send me a friend, and then this demon monster lands, and they adopt this like she like adopts this Stitch, but he's basically like a feral cat. I think they get him at an animal shelter, and they like don't know what he is. And they adopt him, and they take him into their family, and Lilo, the little girl, is like trying to teach him to be better because he's just like bad and he gets into mischief. And Lilo lives with her older sister, Nani, and I think the parents they're out of the picture. I don't know if we're ever told what happens to them. And it's a very touching, like, they learn how to be a family, and Stitch learns to be better, and it's a whole thing. And the whole big thing is like Ohana means family, family means nobody gets left behind or forgotten. And so it's a nice little found family narrative. But I guess in this version of the movie, which, like, I'm sorry to anybody that's planning on seeing it that's listening to this, I guess at the end of it, like, Nani, who's the older sister, like, surrenders Lilo to the state, and because she can't afford it, because she also wants to go to school in California to study marine biology, which is like a totally weird plot line that did not exist in the original. So she just like she like surrenders her younger sister to the state to go to California. But the biggest thing is, and this is what somebody told me, I don't know how true this is, but like Hawaii offers you free schooling if you're trying to study like marine conservation or marine biology or sea life or something. Like, you don't have to go to California to study this. Like, you get free school. So the whole thing just doesn't make sense. And she just like makes her younger sister a ward of the state, like puts her in, I don't know, foster care or something, which is a terrible narrative. So thanks for ruining that, Disney. Anyway, sorry to go on a tangent there, but I was just told that and I was baffled. I learned that like Saturday of this past week.
Yeah, Lilo, it wasn't on my watch list.
Maybe
So,
it should be. It's kind of cutesy.
nah, not my thing. I'll leave that.
Okay, never mind.
I'll leave it to the families. They can go see
Okay.
that. I'll
Yeah, I'll just go play in traffic then. Thanks.
I'll go, I'll go stand in line for I'll go stand in line for F1 that's coming out in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm already sat. They keep telling me to leave, but I'm already sat.
Where the hell were I don't even know what we were talking about. Oh, flights to
I don't know.
Singapore. First of all, they take
How
apparently.
did we get there? Oh my god.
I was curious. Okay, I was wanting to
Proceed.
know. I wanted to know how much they were. Um, they cost about $1,500 round trip.
Okay, but we've already established I can fit in a checked bag, so we only need to pay 1,500, 1,500 per one person. I'm problem solving. I don't know what's wrong with it.
Can I put you up in the overhead compartment?
Please do. I don't want to be in the cargo because I don't know if that's temperature controlled. Unless there's dogs in the cargo, in which case I want to be in the cargo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also the travel time is like 20 hours. Ugh, that sounds
Yeah,
awful.
you have to connect somewhere, I think. I don't think they even do it, but you'd have to connect in like Heathrow or something.
Yeah, this sounds like a terrible idea. Okay, so that is now off the table.
Well,
Uh,
maybe for you, I'm going.
I wish. That should be kind of fun. Like if we were able to pick like a Grand Prix to go to that was international, which one we
Hmm.
would go to, that'd be dope.
I think I would pick one of the Europe ones. I'd pick like Spa or Austria or something like that. One of those ones in the middle of the calendar.
Mm-hmm. Probably like I think Silverstone would be cool.
Yeah, but that's just the UK. Like that's basically Canada. Just let's pick something more exotic.
The Madrid circuit starts next year.
That looks like a death circuit. We've talked about this. That looks
Yeah.
undrivable.
Yeah, they're getting rid of the cat track for Madrid. So
Terrible.
yeah,
Terrible decision, I think. I don't
or
know.
am I?
Just me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they're getting
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cut. Yeah. Okay,
Because
that's
they
right.
wouldn't, well, they have multiples of other countries, but they don't, they've decided that they don't need two Spanish tracks. So,
Silly, silly. Spa
whatever.
would be sick too. Like Belgium. Belgium would be fun.
I think Spa would be cool. It's also just such a historic track. And it's giant,
Mm-hmm.
also. Like, it's a huge track. So there'd be lots of places to sit.
Yeah, I
Assuming we're
was.
not in the paddock with our influencer passes. So,
It I mean, yeah, that took me. I was racing on that yesterday. And it took the lap time there is almost 2 minutes. So
hmm.
in an F1 car, unless something else. Australia, that'd be cool. I'd love to visit
Australia would
Australia.
be cool. Yeah.
Trying to think. Yeah, I think those are the main ones. I think.
Yeah. I don't think I can go to most of the Saudi Arabian countries.
No,
Like
absolutely not.
fairly. I don't think I'm allowed to do that based on the rights and privileges afforded to female citizens there,
Correct.
but
Yeah.
womp womp. Anyway.
And on
Womp
that
womp
that
for me,
note,
not
and
womp womp for the citizens of that country, but that's
and
a
on that
totally
note, the
different
show is
argument.
over. Goodbye. We'll talk to you.
That would be the
Leaving on a
worst.
downer. We can't leave on a downer.
Massive downer. I just gave myself so many points for calling out the tourism standards in Hawaii
Mm-hmm.
and listening to what you said last episode, and then I shot a hole in it just now by saying womp womp to citizens of Saudi Arabia.
Well, I mean,
So
you're
sorry.
not wrong. You're not wrong. We got 20
They're
minutes
not
left.
listening to this. They're probably not
No,
listening to this.
no, they're not.
Maybe.
Um. Okay. Well, we were talking about while we were talking about the cat track.
Hmm.
I will not much to talk about here except for the very last 10 laps of the race, in which Max and you both were crashing out at the end of the race for different reasons. Not like
Yeah.
literally crashing out, but like in the metaphorical crashing out sense.
In a Mrs. Table sense, yeah.
Yes.
I almost put on the document that like I didn't want to talk about it because I saw it happen, I experienced it, and then I was so angry that I was not the best version of myself. And I was like, I need to just take a nap and hit reset. And I took a nap and I woke up and I was still angry. So I can only imagine what Max Verstappen, who had to go do media after this, right? Like, you have to go talk about that. You have to go talk to Sky Sports about that. And Sky Sports hates you. You know this. They hate him. So it's like, really, now I have to go talk to my biggest op about this thing that occurred. I am choosing. I'm choosing to not blame my driver. I'm choosing to blame the team and the strategy, but not Hannah. Hannah did a great job because she chose the three stop, which worked. It really did. It worked. Everybody else was on a two stop strategy, but she's like, look, we're not going to catch McLaren at the front on pace. But if we have fresher tires, because theirs don't degrade for some god awful
Right.
reason, they paid an Etsy witch to put a non degrading hex on it or something. But the Etsy witches are putting water in the tires. Um, she's like, we can't catch him on tire degradation, but we can catch him on pace if we stop earlier and add another stop, and then we go harder on the tires instead of managing, which was actually really smart. The problem came with whoever on the pit wall panicked in the last 10 laps because of the safety car. Which, again, what is with these Mercedes power unit failures, by the way, on the secondary car? Because that's suspicious to me. But it's like, we panicked. We panicked. We could have left him out. Max was on 6 to 8 lap old soft tires. But knowing there was going to be a safety car, knowing there was maybe at maximum going to be about 8 laps of racing left, and the safety car stayed out late as usual again for some weird reason. But we panicked because McLaren pitted. I'm like, we could have stayed out on those tires, knowing that you're going to get past. That's fine. You know you're going to get past, but just hold track position and hold P3. And you'll at least be on tires that you know on the softer compound for a restart. The problem happened when somebody panicked and said, we have to box Max, and knowing that the only fresh tires left in the garage were the hard tire, and not a soul ran the hard tire, like all race. That's where the problem happened, because then you put him out there, all he's got are safety car laps to try and warm up these tires to temperature. They were not warm on the restart, so he got a really bad exit on the restart. He got hit by 2 cars on the restart. One was Leclerc, one was Russell. And Russell's contact forced him onto the escape road through turn 1, which you're supposed to use. That's the race director's instructions. He went through the escape road and came back out and emerged in P4 at that point because Leclerc had overtaken him. And then on the radio, they decided to tell Max that he needed to give the place back to George because apparently he left the track and gained an advantage, which later on the FIA published their ruling. They're like, we wouldn't have done anything about this. He had to go wide because he was made contact with, which I think Max agreed with at the time, which is why he was objecting so heavily to giving the place back. So he tries to give the place back and does so pretty slow. Like, George goes around very slowly as well, which isn't I think he was maybe caught off guard about whether he was trying to give the place back or not, because it wasn't a typical turn to do it. It wasn't the right speed to do it. It was weird. They were both kind of like, do we go? Do we not go? And they end up turning into each other. I think it's less serious than the media made it out to be. They were all like, we should disqualify this guy immediately and like take away his license. And you can see on his onboard that he's trying to turn into the corner. Like, does he have a weird line? Sure, but I think he was trying to let George by, and George went by so slowly that he was like, okay, well, if you're not going, I'm going to go. And they bonked into each other. So, I don't know. The whole thing, I think, got blown out of proportion. But I'm choosing to blame Red Bull and the strategy call, because all of that could have been avoided had you simply left him out there on the tires that he was comfortable with to knowingly get past for P1 and P2, but maybe retain a podium for P3. At worst, you fall to P4, but with the penalty, you end up P10. And I don't think really any of that has to do with Max. The down the line, the butterfly effect of it had to do with Max, but starting to change from the start to change those tires was a bad idea.
Yeah, I will add, Julian Palmer put out his analysis for the whole incident, and he went into deep dived it for about 10 minutes, and he talked about the entire sequence of events. And he did a terrific job explaining it, and he went through and he looked at the telemetry data, and he like broke it down and what that looked like and everything, and he did a great job. And his analysis was basically like, the first portion, which is Max shouldn't have had to give up that place because that was just a racing thing. George got in under braking, and they just made contact, racing for position, and and then Max went off, and it's just a racing incident. It happens, whatever. And then his theory of the case is essentially he just wanted to Max just wanted to make a point to the FIA that your rules are screwy. So basically, he intentionally let George by, And then he wanted to make a point because George did get by, but he didn't let him go fully by enough to pass him. And so that's when Max was like, all right, I'll show you. I'll let him go by, and then I'll get him right back. And it just went haywire. And you could pretty clearly tell that Max was really, really frustrated, and that's what led to the entire incident. Like you said, all of Red Bull strategy calls.
He's also trying to manage 4 different things at once, which is talking to the team radio, trying to shift and go through the corner, trying to look in his mirrors and give the place back, all of this while fighting for his life on these cold tires. It's like driving on ice. Like, none of that was, none of it was conducive to, it wasn't going to end well.
Yeah.
Is the short of it. None of it was going to end well. But I also, here's the thing, I think the FIA they did a better job when they got rid of some of those biased stewards through the last calendar year. But I just think they're out to demonize Max because he's always on the wrong end of penalties for things. He's always the one getting repercussions when other drivers are getting away with things. They're trying to have it both ways in the stewards room, and maybe that was part of the point that Max was trying to make. But it's like, a lot of times with these incidents, if it had been any other driver, no further action. But for some odd reason, they're taking their 4-time consecutive world champion and trying to villainize him and get him, banned from races, or, get him in hot water, or get kickback on him for some of his decisions on track. And I don't understand that, because almost any other sport, if you win 4 consecutive world championships, they're propping you up like LeBron James pedestal on social media.
And you can do no wrong.
The sport seems to hate their active 4-time world champion.
Right,
and
right.
That's not fair.
That may be a part of it. I know, and that happens in every sport where you find where, especially when it comes to penalizing athletes, where Draymond Green is a perfect example, where somebody else does the kind of things he's doing for the first or second time, maybe they don't face the amount of repercussions that Draymond Green does, because Draymond Green's been doing the same stuff for 10 years and still hasn't
Draymond Green's been swinging on people without any kind of consequences.
Still hasn't gotten through his head. So I wonder if that's part of it, where the FIA and Max have had to go through this for almost a decade at this point in time. And so that's kind of the thing here. I think, who knows, maybe that's the case. I don't always agree with the FIA's decisions, and I think they stick their hands in way too much. In this situation, it's like the one and only time where I tend to agree with them that they made the right call. It was just unfortunate, the circumstances which led up to it, and it got out of hand, and it should have been dealt with in a much better fashion, and it would not have happened in that way, right? So either they got to find a way to figure this out right away and not let it go to the stewards, go after the race. And I think I said this about NASCAR, and I'll say it about IndyCar too. They're the same way. It's like they got to find a way to do this in real time a lot better, and not wait until after the race, because it just creates so much gray area. And
we talked about this with Max and Lando last year in Australia, right?
Yeah.
About they took so long to decide whether Norris was going to get a track limits strike that it led to him catching Verstappen on track, and then eventually the two of them making contact with one another, where if they had just ruled that in real time, based on the data, which they've got 1 billion cameras in this race control center, it can't be that hard to look at the cameras and be like, you went all 4 wheels over the white line 3 times, that's our limit, it's a 3-second penalty. And that would have avoided all the incidents. But I don't know, some things it seems like they're really on the spot for, and some things they drag their feet on, and it never happens in the right amount of time. Or I don't know what race it was last year where there was that broken wing mirror on the straight, and then 3 people got a puncture from it because they just couldn't decide if they needed a safety car.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I don't remember where that was, but it was kind of the same thing.
Austria, maybe. I want to say Austria or something. One of the tracks like that.
That was a chaos race, but we have to make better decisions in a more timely manner. Thank you.
I'm gonna look this up here. Hang on.
Because who was it that got it? It was one of the Sauber that got a puncture. It might have been Valtteri.
Oh, Qatar. 2024, a broken mirror from Alex Albon's Williams created a safety car after causing punctures for Hamilton and Sainz.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But they didn't do anything about it. They just let people
Yeah.
drive around with that on track for like 2 or 3 laps until someone
Yeah.
ran it over because it was on the racing line.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's silly. It's dumb. What a dumb
Yeah.
sport.
Dumb. Dumb. Stupid. Bad. Crash out.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, crash out over. Max is now 1 penalty point away from getting a race ban, so we'll see if he decides to get off an extra week and go hang out at home with his brand new baby daughter,
baby.
and then he can. Then you know, would be the funniest thing, because 100% Max would do this, which is he gets his race ban, and then he decides to hop on Team Redline while the Grand Prix is going on.
For sure. Yeah, he would be in the sim doing it. I think some of them, like maybe 3 of those points expire at the end of June or something.
End of June,
so
yep.
he doesn't have to make it that much longer, but I don't know. Give that man a vacation for what the Red Bull pit wall put him through this past weekend.
All right, now we can actually get to some positive news, because dropped out of nowhere on Friday morning.
Yeah, it was like 11:30 on Friday morning. Yeah.
Out of nowhere, Taylor Swift announces that she has her masters back, and she clowned all of us, and she's only recorded a quarter of Reputation Taylor's version. So as I tweeted from the brand account on Friday, I said, maybe Reputation Taylor's version was just the friends we made along the way.
I think that's true. I respect how dedicated she was to not re-recording that album. It was like, write and release a 31 track epic that is the Tortured Poets Department, just in the meantime, like. And then every time we thought we were on to her, that she was going to release Reputation TV, she found a way to prove us wrong. We were like, she's wearing black in public, here's all the dates, they line up, this is, people are finding things out of thin air that they're like,
Everybody tune into the American Music Awards, for goodness sake.
And nobody showed up to those, by the way. Like, most of the artists that won didn't come.
You know who did, though? You know who did show up? Shabuzi. Shabuzi was there.
Was he? I don't know who that is. It's like our longest running joke on this show is that we don't know who Shabuzi is.
I'm sorry to this man. I do not know who this man is.
I don't know who this man is. Yeah. That was crazy. But yeah, she is the CEO, girl boss in chief, business manager. I would like to think that maybe we played a small part in that by like supporting her and going to the tour and not streaming the stolen versions of her music, and just like, I don't know, if even some of the dollars that I've spent on Taylor Swift over the years went towards helping her build a portfolio big enough to buy back her own masters, I'll feel good about it.
Yep. Take capitalism for a cause.
Take capitalism. Maybe now it really was take capitalism for a cause. Yeah.
Anyway, so now we're probably going to get repressings of all of her albums. So we're going to get like a repressing of Reputation, a repressing of Debut, which would be cool. Actually, probably a repressing of all of those, like original recordings, which would be awesome. And hopefully at some point in time, a release of the vault tracks from Debut and Reputation.
She did say that she has those.
Yeah, that's all we're asking for. Just that. Debut's fully recorded. She said that. She said it's done.
Yep. Reputation is a perfect album. Reputation's a perfect album. I like to say that. I've always been of that mind. I think it's funny, and there were obviously some Swifties who are much smarter and more in tune with this than I am, that were calling back. I think it was from her Miss Americana documentary. It was when the Grammy nominations, I think, came out that year, that she had written Reputation, and it got like no nominations.
Yeah.
She's like, well, now I just have to make a better album. And then she went and made the Lover album. But now it's so funny that it's full circle, that it's like, I need to make a better album. And then in her statement, she's like, I don't think I could do this better. I really don't. But it was also hysterical, the other side of it, that was like Taylor Swift desperately trying to avoid singing about Joe Alwyn again, and she's like, Travis, hand me my wallet. Like,
I
I
saw
don't know
that.
if that's the case, but that was funny. That was very funny. And
Right.
we love Reputation. Did you go and stream any of the previous versions when that news came out? Have you done that?
I did.
What did you stream?
Can you
I'm
guess which
curious.
one?
Probably not. It's I would like to think it was maybe off of 1989.
No, I was
What did you go
driving.
back to?
I was driving to Mello on Friday night, and I
Yeah,
listened to Reputation.
that's solid. That's a good choice. I think that's the one that people were most reluctant to give up during this
Yeah,
holding process. That some people were. I'll own up to it. Occasionally, I still heard some of the Reputation songs, but like I went immediately for the original version of Style.
that's what everybody's been
It was
saying, and
calling to me like the Green Goblin Mask Style, and then Shake It Off, because this is maybe just my bad ears that like I picked up on your weird microphone frequency before the show, but like there is this high pitched frequency in the re-recording of Style, or sorry, Shake It Off, and I don't know what it is, but it is so prominent in my speakers when I listen to it in my car, and I like can't listen to it because I just hear that click
oh,
like every time. So yeah, I went back for 1989. It called to me. It spoke to me.
I mean, you are also the person that is still to this day the only person with the clap theory for Florida, or
It's really
yeah,
weird. It's
yeah.
really weird that there's like 7 and then there's 8, or that there's 8 and then there's 7. There's something weird happening there. I don't know.
The only person who's ever caught on to that.
I'll guess I'll die with my own theory, but I will die on that hill that there's something strange happening with that song.
Yeah.
It's a great
Uh.
song.
Anyway, so yeah, congratulations, Taylor. Very excited for you. Take a break, for goodness sake, girl. Go. We don't. It's okay. We don't need. You've given us so that much darn music over the last 5 years. You can just take a break, go off, and you know, and live your best life. Gave us the Eras tour. Like,
Yeah.
we're okay. But I will say this: put Reputation, the Reputation Stadium tour, put that back on streaming, or
Yes.
put out a Blu-ray 4K. Put it in
Yes.
something.
Put all of your previous tour films, like
Yeah.
I think she has a deal with Disney Plus now for the Eras tour or something, but put them on there. We want them. We
Yes.
want them back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to have 1989 tour on, like, it used to be available through iTunes. And so I used to have it. I used to have that, and then it's gone. I don't know where it is. It just disappeared.
Oh. Oh no.
I don't think I bought it though. I don't think I bought it. I think it was just like, I don't know. There was some sort of thing going on where if you could watch it on through iTunes, and then I was like, and then,
It just got uploaded to your iTunes like that one U2 album, like
yeah,
without your permission.
yes,
They just dumped the 1989 World Tour onto you. You're like, you're gonna be a Swiftie and you're gonna like it.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Anyway, so yeah, put the Reputation tour back up, please.
Yeah.
That's our PSA for this. Okay, we have one last thing to get to, which is this. Ooh, we're actually going to be on time this week.
We're gonna be
Wow.
close. Yeah. That's new and exciting.
It's, I can't remember the last time we were did that well. Okay, how do I get rid of the names?
I
What
don't
the
know.
hell?
You're the stage manager.
They've changed this. Son of a bitch. Okay, there it is. There we go.
There you
Okay.
go. Good job.
So here's a tweet. Record-breaking night in Miami. The Miami Marlins set an MLB record for the lowest attendance in their game tonight. A staggering 137 people attended the game as the Rockies got the win and improved their historically bad record to 10 wins and 50 losses. You can see the picture here. I've seen more people show up to a Buffalo Wild Wings dollar wing night than this
I've
Major
seen
League
more
Baseball
people
game.
in the Trader Joe's parking lot than I have at the. That was just my point. Was like, what do we think we could get 137 people to? Because if you can only get 137 people to a Major League Baseball game,
Yeah.
There were more people at the this is a callback. Do you remember when that guy ate a whole bucket of cheese balls in Washington Square
Yes.
Park?
Yeah.
There were more than 137 people at that.
There were more people at the Timothy Chalamet lookalike contest.
Yes. There were more people at the Jeremy Allen White lookalike contest.
There were more people at the Papal Conclave than showed up.
I can't do any better than that.
There were, because I think there were like 109 actual voting cardinals.
There were
and
so
they had
many
the staff.
cardinals. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on. How many cardinals were in the conclave? 133 cardinals.
So it was 133 cardinals, and then there were the extra like all the people there that were
The
like
Swiss Guard. Yeah.
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 I'm gonna keep this.
Well
I'm
done.
gonna keep this ref going. There were more people in line to get their air pressure checked at Discount Tire than
That's probably
the Miami
fair.
Marlins Colorado Rockies game.
Yeah. There were probably more people that purchased matcha online when it went on that restock than 137, because now it's on back order.
Yes, there is none left. There were this is hard. This is really hard. Do you got any more while I try to come up with another one?
Let me think. There were more people in line at like 6 a.m. at Target to go buy the Take Capitalism Eras Tour book than 137, because my parents were there, so that's at least that's a high number. There were more people that watched John Mulaney get beat up by a bunch of teenagers.
That's another good one too. Okay, I'm out. I don't got any more. I think I peaked at the conclave.
The conclave was so good. I should have just left it there. We weren't going to get any better than that. No. That was really well done.
There were more people on set when Hacks went to Singapore than people who showed up at the Miami Marlins Colorado Rockies game.
I mean, historically, there's like more people that have listened to us talk for 70 episodes than there were people at the Miami Marlins Colorado Rockies game. Thank you for that.
All right. I think that's it. I think we're done. I made matcha at home for the first time today.
Yeah, with the strawberries.
Yes. Ooh, that was a great move on my part, to be honest. Turned out good.
What'd you end up doing for a straw situation? I saw something that looked like you took a cardboard wrapping paper tube and jammed it in there. Was it a reusable straw?
Yeah.
Great. Save the environment. Save the turtles.
Luckily, they had it at Target, so I was able to pick those up last night.
Oh, Target.
What?
You were doing so well, and then you had to name drop the major corporation.
Oh, sorry.
Buy your straws local or something.
buy your straws local. Make your own straws.
DIY straw.
Use hot glue. Jordan has a bunch of it.
Yeah, I can help you. I have moldable thermoplastic. Just call me. Call me.
Moldable thermoplastic. Okay, SpaceX, we got you over there. What the hell are you building? Jesus Christ. We'll find out eventually, but what are you cooking?
Assembling a team of unique individuals.
Are you Breaking Bad over there? Is that what's going on?
Jesse. Yo, Mr. White, we need to cook. I've only seen like 2 episodes of that show.
Gatorade me, bitch. That's a real line. That's a real line.
I believe it. I so believe it. I've only seen the bit where he like throws the pizza on the roof, and then like people were going to that house, which I think is actually in New Mexico, and they were like, "Please don't throw pizza on our roof." Yeah.
Correct. All right. That's it for this episode, everybody. Glad you had an enjoyable time. More people are going to watch this episode than showed up to the Colorado Rockies Miami Marlins game.
That's a challenge. Make it happen.
All right. You can follow the show at OHOBC Pod on all the things that you get your social media from. Follow and like our stuff, comment, let us know what kind of matcha you drink, because we're on the lookout for that. And if you want my recipe for my strawberry puree that I made, which is super simple and delicious, hit me up. I got it. I have no idea how I made it. I don't know. I just poured a bunch of stuff together and hoped it worked out. So that's fine. All right. Goodbye, everybody.